It began not with a bang, but with the crackle of a cheap speaker and the lazy strum of a tourist's guitar. A vacation. That's all it was supposed to be. A bunch of friends, high on life and the freedom of their 20s, skydiving onto a pristine paradise in the Pacific. Brothers, Grant and Jason Brody, their girls, their buddies, all of them, so young, so painfully unaware. The jump was a rush. Laughing, screaming, the world a beautiful blue and green blur. But the landing was where the dream curdled. We didn't land on a beach, we landed in hell, pirates. Led by a man whose voice was a serrated knife, Vas Montenegro. He was chaos incarnate, a whirlwind of profanity and psychotic philosophy. He herded us, his new toys, into a bamboo cage. The fear was a physical thing, a cold stone in your gut. I remember Grant, my older brother, trying to be the hero, trying to reason. Vaz just laughed, put a gun to his head, and just like that, my brother was gone. A sack of meat on the dirt, he left me there, in that cage, waiting for my turn. But fate, or luck, or some dark god of the island had other plans. A storm broke. A guard got careless. I got out. I ran through mud and terror, Voss's laughter chasing me through the trees like a hunting beast. That's when I found Dennis, a man carved from the island itself, all sinew and grim purpose. He saw something in me, a spark he could use. He gave me a tattoo, the first of many, a tatau, he called it. He said it would unlock the warrior inside. I thought he was crazy, but I had no other choice. My first kill, it was messy. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. But with that act, something shifted. The scared boy from California started to recede, and something else, something harder, began to take his place. I was learning to hunt, to track, to craft syringes from jungle plants that could heal wounds or sharpen my senses to a razor's edge. This island, it was a brutal teacher, but an effective one. Dennis took me to his people, the Rakyat. Their leader, Citra. She was fire and ancient stone. She looked at me not as a victim, but as a weapon. She tested me, sent me to retrieve a sacred knife, sending me on a wild, drug-fueled vision quest through a shanty town, following a man in a white suit. I found myself in tombs of long-dead Chinese warlords, fighting for my life against pirates and my own crumbling sanity. Along the way, I started finding my friends. Lisa, first, at a heavily fortified outpost. The firefight was my baptism. I wasn't just escaping anymore, I was attacking. I was taking back what was mine. Then Daisy, sick and being cared for by a doctor who was eccentric, to say the least. A man who distilled his own peculiar brand of medicines. But for every friend I saved, the island took a piece of me. I found out Grant was truly dead. Then Keith, poor Keith. I found him broken after being sold to a depraved bastard named Buck, who made me hunt for a relic in a sunken ship and a cursed tomb just for the sport of it. When I finally got to Keith, he was gone. The light in his eyes was just out. Voss had shattered him. And Riley, my little brother. For so long, I thought he was dead too. The grief was a poison. It fueled me. I went deeper, trained harder with Citra. She gave me a drink, a poison that should have killed me. It showed me visions, tested my spirit. I faced my fears, my pain. I embraced the path of the warrior. I was no longer Jason Brody, the tourist. I was a weapon of the Rakyat. Confronting Vaz was insane. He monologued about the definition of insanity, and by God, he was right. I fought him in a burning compound, a duel of fire and machetes. I stabbed him, shot him, and he just kept coming. A force of nature. In the end, it was Citra's sacred knife that finally stilled his heart. But killing him didn't feel like a victory. It felt like putting down a rabid animal, necessary, but tragic. I thought it was over. I went back to the doctors, to Lisa and the others. The boat was fixed. We could go home. But when I looked at that boat, at Lisa's hopeful face, I knew I couldn't get on. This island had remade me. The man who arrived wouldn't be on that journey home, because Voss was just the hand. The brain, the true evil, was a man named Hoyt Volker, a slick, soulless monster in a suit who ran a global slave ring from his private island. And he had Riley. My brother was alive, so I stayed. I went undercover with the help of a shifty CIA agent named Willis. I became one of Hoyt's recruits, a blank-faced soldier named Foster. I played poker with the devil, sabotaged his communications, blew his fuel depots to Kingdom Come. I even had to interrogate my own brother, right in front of Hoyt, to keep our cover. I had to beat him to make it look real. The sound of my fists hitting his flesh, that stays with you. The final game was at the poker table. The stakes were fingers. Hoyt knew who I was, had known all along. He was toying with me, but Sam, the German privateer who was actually working with Willis, had a knife in his boot. The moment came. Chaos. Blood. We fought our way out, found Riley, stole a helicopter from right under their noses. Flying away, with Riley at the controls, I felt a flicker of the old world. We were going to make it. We were going to get the others and finally leave. We landed back at the doctor's place, but it was empty. Just Daisy, terrified. She said the Rakyat had taken them to the temple. We ran. We burst into that ancient, sacred place, and there they were. Lisa, Oliver, all of them. But they weren't prisoners. They were offerings. Citra stood there, radiant and terrifying. She had orchestrated it all. She wanted to complete my transformation, to make me the unquestioned leader of the Rakyat. To do that, my old life, my friends, my love for them, it all had to be sacrificed. She handed me the knife, the same one I used to kill Voss. She wanted me to kill my friends, to kill Lisa, to prove my loyalty was only to her, to the island, to the path. Riley, my own brother, begged me to do it. The Tatao, the power, it had seduced him too. And Lisa, she looked at me, not with fear, but with a heartbreaking sadness. "You're a monster," she whispered. I stood there, the knife heavy in my hand. I could feel the weight of every life I'd taken. The pirate, the soldier, the mercenary, they were all layers of armor over the boy I used to be. I had killed so many. I had loved the power. I had walked the path. But this was the end of it. To murder the last remnants of my humanity, for power, for a queen, for an island drenched in blood, I looked at Citra, this beautiful, deadly priestess. I looked at Lisa, the last tether to the man I was. I dropped the knife. The sound it made on the stone floor was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Citra screamed, a sound of pure betrayal. She came at me with another blade, her love turned to lethal hatred. It was her or me. There was no other way. I left the temple with my friends, the ones who were left. We didn't speak. What was there to say? We got on the boat. The engine sputtered to life. As we pulled away from the shore, I looked back at the island. It was still a paradise, green and beautiful under the sun. But I knew its secret now. I knew the darkness that slept in its heart, and I knew a part of me would always be there. A ghost in the jungle. A warrior who chose to stop being a monster. The boat cut through the waves, heading for home. But I knew, deep down, I'd never really leave.